Hi Year 9 and welcome back to another lesson looking at how to play Blinding Lights for the violin one part. Hopefully you're all warmed up, but we are going to do a little bit of a playing warm-up before we get started, just because we're tackling some quite tricky rhythms, and a really good way of starting to look at them is to use the G natural minor scale that we should be quite familiar with by now to play some of those rhythms straight away before we even see the music. So on the screen you'll see the notes of the scale that you should already know how to play, and let me just show you first of all, in fact no, together let's try and play the scale first of all, and we'll just play it as written, so it should sound like this. And we're going to play that all the way up and all the way back down together. Okay, so instruments up, find your first note, and we'll go after 4. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Back down. Good. So that's how the normal scale goes. The rhythm that I want to look at is one that we're going to look at in the verses for Blinding Lights, and it goes like this. Can we just play that on our first note, on that G? 1, 2, 3, 4, ta, ti, ta, ti, ta. Ready, again, and ta, ti, ta, ti, ta. Let's just play that rhythm on the scale, and we'll have a little bit of a gap in between, so we'll go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just so we've got a bit of time to catch up. Okay, we'll just go up to the end of the first line. We won't go back down at the end. After 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ti, ta, ti, ta. A string, here we go. First finger low and stretch for 2 and stretch for 3 and fourth finger close, first finger low, stretch for 2 and. Very good. Next challenge is to do it without the gap in between, so we should be able to go all the way up and all the way down in the same amount of time. So we'll go like this. And I want us to try and do a retake at the end of each note, so that we're starting each new note on a down bow. So it'll go down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. So we're doing a little bit of a retake. We'll go a slightly steadier tempo, just while we're getting used to that. Okay, find your first note. Here we go after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, back down to 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 3. Good, and into rest position for me. Very good. So now we are fully warmed up, and we've also already tackled one of the tricky rhythms without even seeing the music. So we are in a good position to start looking at the verse, the first verse for Blinding Lights. Now, we're going to try and do the same kind of method that we used last time. So of course the very first thing that we do is we try and kadai the sounds. The good news is, as with the intro that we looked at last time, once you've figured out the rhythm for the first 2 lines, it then just repeats. So all we need to do to start off with is to just look at the first 2 lines, okay? Now, it does start at B, verse 1, but there is a little bit of a pickup here just with those 4 notes before it. So when we're playing verse 1, I'll always count, I'll give you 4 and then 2, so I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ti, 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 ta. And then the ta is at letter B, okay? So, a couple of things to look out for before I ask you to just figure out the kadai for the first 2 lines. When there is a slur joining together two notes that are different, we still use the normal kadai sounds. It's just telling us that when we use the bow, we'll try and join together the two notes in one bow, but they're still separate notes. So we can still, for example, here say T, 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 T. The second thing to look out for, as with the intro, is we've got a couple of tied notes. So here we start off with two quavers, so that would be T, T, but then that final quaver is tied to a minim, which would be two. And because it's tied, it's only going to sound once, so we just ignore the T of the two. So it'll sound like this. T, T, U. I'll just say that again. T, T, U. If there wasn't a tie there, it would be T, T, two, but we want to make sure that we're internalising the fact that it will just sound once. Okay? So just a few seconds, 20 seconds to figure out the kadai sounds for the first two lines. Off you go. Okay, let's see if we can kadai these first two lines together. So after 4 and then 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. T, 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 ta. Move, move. T, 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 ta. T, ta, T, ta. Move. T, 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 ta. T, ta, T, ta. Move. Ta, ta, T, T, U. T, 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 T. Technically that belongs to the next bit, but it's good to know how it goes. Fantastic, well done. So fairly straightforward rhythms. The tricky one is this one here that then repeats in bar 21, bar 27 and bar 29, but that's the rhythm that we learned in the scale, so it should be happy days. So it should go ta, ti, ta, ti, ta, and that's fine. And then this one here is the really awkward one, which is why I've written it there, just to help you out, because I was feeling generous. Good. So then the next stage is to figure out what the notes are. Again, the notes are actually not too challenging either. Starts on a G, and we know that because of the G clef. And there are some open string notes in there as well, A and D. Okay. So again, just for the first two lines, see if you can figure out what the notes themselves are, please. Okay, let's have a look together. I haven't written them all in because some of them repeat. So for example, once you know the notes for here, they just repeat. Okay, so let's just try and say the notes. This time we'll only go as far as the awkward rhythm here. After 4 and then 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. G, F, G, F, G. Ma, mu, mu. G, F, G, F, A. F, F, G, D. Mu. G, F, G, F, A. F, F, G, D. Mu. F, G, D, C. Fantastic. You notice that there's just one C there because it's tied together, so we're trying to replicate the sound straight away. Fantastic. Can we just try that one more time, but this time I'm going to play it as you say the notes. Just so you get an idea of how it goes straight away. Here we go. After 4 and then 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. G, F, G, F, G. G, F, G, F, A. F, F, G, D. G, F, G, F, A. F, F, G, D. F, G, D, C. Very good, well done. Okay, and then the final piece of the puzzle is to figure out what numbers we need to use in terms of which fingers we need to use to play each of those notes. So 20 seconds, see if you can figure out the numbers that we need for those two lines, please. Okay, let's see if we agree with one another. Here we go. Now you'll notice I've also included some symbols that we looked at last lesson. So we've got a down bow here telling us that we need to start in the lower half of the bow and pull the bow. and then an up bow here that's telling us to push the bow upwards, but don't worry about that just yet. Okay, let's say the numbers, and straight away I'm going to play it so we're still getting a sense of what it's going to sound like. So saying the numbers, 4 and then 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3, 0. 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3, 0. 2, 3, 0, 3. Good. And that's it. That's how we achieve it. Then it repeats. So once you've learnt the first 2 lines, you've learnt the whole of the verse, and actually there is so much repetition within that that we can really break it down. So first part I'd like us to look at is the bar that we did in the scale in terms of the rhythm. It's going to be an open A, then 2, then 3, then open D. Okay, so let's just try and play that with me playing it first and you playing it back. We'll go slightly steadier, so we'll go like this. Okay, instruments up, me first. 1, 2, me first. Now you. 0, 2, 2, 3, 0, me. You. 0, 2, 2, 3, 0, me. You. 0, 2, 2, 3, 0, me. You. 0, 2, 2, 3, 0. Excellent. And once you've done that, we just need to add on 4 notes beforehand. So it'll go 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3, 0. Let's try that together, shall we? After 2. Ready? 3, 4, 1, 2. 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3, 0. And again, go. Again, go. Good. So once you've done that, we've learnt this bit here, this bit here, this bit here, and this bit here. So that's loads of that section. And the bit beforehand is even easier than that, because all we need to do is alternate between 3 and 2. 3, 2, 3, 3. That's it. Okay? So let's see if we can play from the beginning up until here. Okay, let me show it to you once. It'll go like this. 1, 2. Moo, moo. That's it. Let's see if we can do that from the beginning. After 2. Find your first note. Make sure your second finger is close to your first finger. Ready? After 2. And a 1, 2. Excellent, really good. Now, the only thing that we need to look at now is this part here. And it's slightly awkward for 2 reasons. 1, we have to start on an up bow. But the notes themselves are easy there, it's just 2 to 3. And the second reason it's awkward is because we have to switch over onto a lower string between a slur. So here we have to go from an open D to G3 in one bow. Down. Can we just try that? Down. 3, 4. 0, 3. And again. 0, 3. And you'll notice that I'm just lifting my arm up to go onto the lower string. 0, 3. And again. 0, 3. Fantastic. So then you just need to join them together by going up, down. Let's try that together after 2. Find that first note, that F. D2. After 2. 1, 2. Up, down. And again. Up, down. One more time. Up, down. Excellent. So then we just need to piece it together, okay? So can we now please try going from the very beginning, and we're going to see if we can play all the way through from here to the end of this verse. One thing to look out for, as well as everything else I've told you to look out for, is that there's an extra sneaky note here. But we did it the first time we did the Kadai, so it should be okay. If in doubt, follow me. Here we go, 4 and then 2 before we come in. Find that first note. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2. 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 2, 2, 3, 0. Now up bow, 2, 3, 0, 3. Up bow, go. Ma, moo, moo. That's it, fantastic. Just before we move on, let's just quickly look at this passage here, just so we can double check that we're in agreement. So in terms of, if I'm counting from the beginning of this bar, you're coming in on beat 2.5. So you want to be thinking 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, up, down. Can we just try that? 1, 2, up, down. 1, 2, up, down. Then can we carry on? So we'll go 1, 2, up, down, up, down. Let's just try that. Here we go. After 2, starting on an up bow. 1, 2, up, down, down. And again after 2, 1, 2. Excellent. This time we'll go from there where the red dot is, but we'll carry on to the end of the page. So here we go. Ready to start on an up bow. Ready, and 1, 2. Up, down, moo, moo, down, up, moo. Now up bow. Excellent, well done. And it would then go on to the pre-chorus. So that's verse 1, done. We can tick that off our list. The next section we need to look at is verse 2, because, confusingly for us violins, verse 2 is actually different. We've got a slightly different part. It looks, I won't lie to you, it looks horrendous at the first glance, but it isn't, because it is 2 bars that repeats. It's those first 2 bars and it then repeats all the way through, okay? And it pizzicato, so we can just straight away put our bow down, because we're not going to need it for verse 2. Now, I've put the Kadai sounds in already for you, and you'll notice that I've put the actual notes in bold, so we're whispering the rests. So just listen to what it should sound like in terms of the Kadai sounds. Okay, it should go like this. Me, ti, me, ti, 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 me, ti, me, ti, me, ti, ti, ti. Let's just try it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Me, ti, me, ti, 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 me, ti, me, ti, me, ti, ti, ti. Good. Can you now get your instruments and ignore the note, go back to a beginner violin hold. Can we just play that rhythm while saying it on an open A string? Okay? So I'll just show you. It'll go like this. Me, ti, me, ti, 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 me, ti, me, ti, me, ti, ti, ti. Let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Me, ti, me, ti, 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 me, ti, me, ti, me, ti, 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 ma. 1, 2, once again. Me, ti, me, ti, 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 me, ti, me, ti, me, ti, 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 ma. Excellent. And that repeats all the way through. That's the rhythm. Okay? So that's the Kadai. But what notes are we playing here? Now, I will give you one hint before I ask you to work it out. We've got a key signature here that tells us that every single B in this piece is a B flat, and every single E in this piece is an E flat. And to save sort of running out of time to say B flat and E flat when we're going through it, we shorten them to BES for B flat and S for E flat. Okay, so bearing that in mind, just figure out what the notes are for those first 2 bars. I will give you just 10 seconds to do that. Okay, let's see if we agreed. So we should have BES, BES, C, D, BES, 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 C, D. Can we say that together, please? So I'm now not saying the me's, we're just imagining them. In fact, I might just kind of sniff in the rests just to remind myself that they're there. Let's try it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. BES, BES, C, D, BES, 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 C, D. Okay, let's try that again. Someone's going to think you've got a cold, but it works. Trust me, I still do it now. 1, 2, 3, 4. BES, BES, C, D, BES, 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 C, D. Excellent. Okay, what numbers would we have to use? What number fingers would we have to use to achieve those notes, please? 10 seconds, off you go. Okay, let's see if we agree. We should have 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Now we know from our G natural minor scale that first finger has to be all the way back, has to be low. Okay, so let's just try and say those numbers. I'm going to play them as we say them. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay, time for you to join me. Instruments up. Get your first finger back. And then your second finger will have a gap. Third finger will have a gap. Okay, let's try it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Good. Can we now do the exact same thing again, but can we make sure we say a ma at the very end so we know there's a crotchet rest there? Let's try it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Very good job. And then it repeats over and over again. And that is it for verse 2. That's it. Okay, so I want to just show you what verse 2 would sound like along to the backing track. Now in the resources on Kinteract, you've got 3 different options. You can practice it at full tempo, which is 160 BPM, which is fast, or you can go at 130 or 90. Okay, and I'm going to show you it somewhere in the middle. I'm going to show you it at 130, just so you get a sense of what this should sound like eventually. Okay, so here we go, and feel free to join in if you're feeling confident and want to give it a go straight away. Otherwise, this is what you can do to practice. Here I go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ma. 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 Just repeat. It's the same pattern. And that's it, and then we're into a pre-chorus. So I'll leave it there. So you can see that actually verse 2 is a lot more straightforward than verse 1, even though it looks at a glance to be more complicated. It's much easier because it's just 2 bars that repeats. So when you're practicing this, try it along to the 130 BPM backing track. We've been learning it because we've been practicing it in isolation. We've been putting our bows down. When it comes to the actual performance and putting it together, we will have to be holding our bow because we have to switch back to using our bow quite quickly. So practice it without the bow, and then when you're really comfortable with it, practice it by holding your bow as though you're about to play and just stretching your first finger and doing it like that. Okay, so 2 things to practice for this section. Verse 1, which looks something like this, followed by verse 2, which looks something like this. Yeah, then we've covered the majority of the piece, and the only things left to do are the pre-choruses and the choruses, which we will look at in the next video. Okay, so good luck and happy practicing.